Beacon Gup, please. Just waiting on Steven so he can give me some advice about sound dampening panels and chit-chat with him for a few minutes about politics. Maybe I'll stay longer if Econoboy pops in, but other than that, let him get back to the Federalist Papers. Do this in real life. Yeah, so when Steven went to South Carolina to debate that Owen Schroyer guy, he flew into Charlotte and he hung out with me here at my place for a few hours, so he got to see the setup and he can lend his expertise, especially since he's doing a deep dive into the Anything Else studios, which, by the way, guys, that room is so much smaller than you would expect, but it looks massive from these cameras. Your mic sucks. Yeah, I'm using a headset, not using my standard mic. I'm just using my my headset that I use when I occasionally game. Profound Samurai, Charlotte lit to live in. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Constantly rates like in the top 10, top 15 in the U.S. world and news reports, like in terms of livability and best places to live in the United States in terms of a major city. What games do I play? Very few, but like every Monday I try to dedicate an hour with a couple of friends to play Halo Infinite because we were all Halo friends back in the day, and it's the most recent Halo game, but it's also a shit show. So I love The Witcher 3. It's my all-time favorite. I'm trying to dabble in Dragon Age, the new one, Veilguard, but it's just meh. I don't have the attention span for video games, believe it or not. Like, I don't know. I've just become so laser focused on politics these days that don't have much time for leisure. What sports do I like? I love basketball. I like watching the Charlotte Hornets, even though we're not a particularly good team. But there are actually 3 games this week that I'm going to. They're playing Magic on Monday. They're playing.
Why the fuck are you so fucking loud? Jesus.
Why are you
I have you at 200%. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I'm using my headset that I used a game, so it's a different mic. That's probably why.
Oh, we're talking a gamer, Josiah. Oh boy.
I wouldn't go that far. Okay, it's just when I occasionally fire up Steam to play Halo Infinite or The Witcher 3. Those are like my 2 out of the 3 games I play.
Okay.
How are you, buddy?
No, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm all right. So making changes to the setup here based on your recommendations. They're going really well. But one of the things I've been thinking about for the past couple
just
weeks,
please note for everybody, okay? These are just like little observations that I make, okay? I'm not like designing your shit, so if shit gets fucked, okay? I don't want the blowback or fallout from this.
Jesus, I didn't you're not like I'm not gonna hold you like personally liable or anything. Like these are just like nip and tuck things. Like
Okay.
I constantly I have constantly changed my shit in like incremental stuff over the past like year and a half. I'm never like satisfied with it, so I'm hopefully I will find one setup where it's just okay and leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah,
and I know you can relate to that.
That never changes. It'll always be tweaking. But go ahead, what's up?
Yeah, so what about sound dampening panels? So you've seen the room that, like the spare room that I use for my studio / office, and it's got those 12-foot ceilings. And I've noticed, like I have to use a program called eMaster to take the MP3 audio for my recordings, and it just like automatically masters them because it sounds like shit otherwise. Like you can hear reverb and echo and stuff like that. And so even when I use
you can send me like an unmolested recording and so I could hear what it sounds like naturally?
I will. I can do that. I can send you that tomorrow, just like a raw file of the MP3. But it occurs to me, I'm like, well, I didn't have this in previous, when my previous apartment, the ceilings were lower and the room was bigger, and I'm thinking, well, maybe that's what it is. It's just some sort of echo, and so I should like sound dampen the room. What do you think?
Donald Trump has doubled down on the nomination of former.
And that's after the eMaster right there. Like, and it's still not as smooth and still not like as I don't know. The audio still sounds off to me a little bit. Still, I can I can hear a bit of the echo there. But that's after all of the treatment.
As a victim of sexual assault.
I mean, like the obvious things you can do are. Can you tell me what your audio chain is? What does the SM7B plug into?
Oh God! So it plugs into an Elgato Wave XLR. So it's not like this elaborate mixer.
There's not a little blue box first that it plugs into?
No. Go straight from the Shure SMB, and it plugs right into the Wave XLR, which my understanding is it's like a volume control and mixer all in one. Just got a single knob on it. No blue box.
75 decibels. Do you know what your preamp, the decibel level is set to? Like 50, it'll probably be something from 50 to 70. You have an idea?
No, but I can check. Well, how would I check? Let's see. Like I'm looking at the Wavelink app, and like all it shows me is like input gain.
Yeah, what's that input gain set to?
It's at 34 decibels.
Really?
Yeah.
Then do you have like an output gain or an output signal or something, or?
Device input, headphone jack, output volume is at minus 35 decibels. And no, so I don't see anything. Like it's pretty simple. Like it's a really pared down UI.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the input gain, it's like halfway between condenser and dynamic. Like right under the adjustable input gain, it gives you like, I guess, a chart where it's like, okay, you want it here if you want more of a condenser mic, and you want it here if you want more of a dynamic mic. And I just had it, I think it defaulted like halfway in between.
Your thing should be all the way over at dynamic.
Should it?
Yeah,
Okay.
because this mic is very, very hungry for power.
So like at like 75 decibels?
75 sounds high, but I think the SM7B, I think usually likes anywhere from 50 to 60.
Okay.
So if you do gain higher on the mic, and then if you do, if you put it a little bit closer to your mouth and speak into it, that might, maybe that's all you need. I don't remember how echoey your room is. Do you have carpets in there?
I do. Well, yeah, the carpet on the floor, but like the walls themselves are bare. Like there's no none of that foam panels or shit or the sound treatment.
Okay. Then I would say up that gain a lot to like whatever that on the dynamic side, like 60 decibel maybe. And then once you do that, try speaking into it and listen to how that sounds a little bit closer to your face. It doesn't have to be like right up there, but a little bit closer. And then if you're still picking up echo at that point, I think all you can probably do is sound treatment. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was going to ask, like, so did you, in any of your previous studios, did you sound treat the walls? And if so, like, are there specific panels that you would recommend, or specific, like this is an apartment, right? So I don't really want to fuck up the walls. And I was looking at Amazon, and some of these things are like giant. It looks like adhesive tape, like from corner to corner. And I'm thinking, man, once I go to take this off, I wonder if it's going to like, fuck up the paint and the drywall.
So
yeah,
this is the downstairs is the first studio I've ever set up before. I don't know enough about sound treatment. It's not a thing that I do, but I like my guess or hope maybe is if you can get two big panel things, one that goes in front of you and one that's to the left of you, stage left, that hopefully that's enough, and that any volume, any voice as you're speaking forward, it doesn't get thrown back to that wall behind you to echo off or whatever. And a lot of it will die, hopefully, right in front of you and to the left of you. But
so put a panel behind the camera.
Yeah, but it has to be like sound. It's not like a video game, right? Sound goes in all directions. It can't just be one thing right in front of you and it like magically. Yeah, it'll be. Yeah. There are these like. I bet there are cheaper ways to do this, but I know that you can get like downstairs. We've got 3 of these like really big acoustic walls that you can buy, and you could just like put these like behind your camera and then to the left of you where they're all off camera, and that might help. But I mean, you could spend anywhere from probably a couple $100 to like $5,000 on acoustic walls. Just depends. It might be that for a cheaper solution, you could just get like 3 poles and then hang like a thick blanket on off of them, and that might be good enough to absorb sound. But yeah, for a lot of this, it's just either trial and error or find somebody that has firsthand experience doing this. Yeah.
Acoustic walls. Okay. Yeah. I'll take a look. In your setup, because I didn't see your apartment, but that's pretty, like you have tall ceilings, don't you?
Yeah.
And that's how, I don't know. Is it like a big open room? Like, do you have closed doors or whatever? Or is it like
where I'm at right now?
Yeah. I'm just curious why, like your sound's perfect. So my mic is gained correctly, and I'm speaking very closely to my microphone, right? Like, you see on my stream where I'm speaking, right? Yeah, but so like the perception, how many inches is that thing away from your face?
Less than a fist. So like, but like you can, there's a significant difference in sound quality from here to I think that when you're doing your videos, I think that you're making
I do. Yep.
Yep. Do you see
Yes.
this? Do you hear how different it sounds?
Yep. Yep. You're
Yeah.
right. And now I do hear more of an echo. Okay. So
And
it
this
really
is
is about
still
increasing the gain.
speaking directly into the microphone. Like if I were to
Yep.
like even aim up like this, or if I were to speak forward, like sometimes if you're
Yep.
speaking forward and the microphone is like here beneath you, it's going to be even worse. Yeah. So there's a significant difference in sound quality based on your distance to the microphone. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'll try that. I appreciate that, man.
No problem.
Are you gonna do? I hope you do. I hope you say yes.
Uh-oh.
In 43 minutes, you should go on that Dave Smith Spaces thing and just see if he'll talk to you.
We'll see. I'll think about it.
I mean, I doubt he will, but I mean, he wouldn't even look at you on the Piers Morgan thing. But he occasionally like responded to like talk shit and run his mouth. But other than that, I mean,
It's probably just going to
think
be, I think on those spaces, they just do like a jerk fest and you're just going to have a bunch of people come in and jerk each other off or something. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch.
are you doing a deeper dive into the Doge thing? Is that what this is? The
No,
Vivek
I
and
just-
Elon project?
I like to waste all my time, so we watched a Patrick Boyle video. He's a cool guy. I shouldn't say waste time. He's a cool guy, but
Yeah, I listened to a bit of it. I guess the good news is, I don't know if this is good news because it would require oversight and Musk to divest himself from some of his businesses. But this isn't going to be like an official government department. Congress has to invent one. So do you think that that's going to be a check or not really? It's just going to avoid any sort of oversight or culpability that this is like an informal advisory board.
I mean, Congress will never make this department because the concept is stupid, and I don't think Trump or Elon are smart enough to actually formalize it into a piece of legislation, number one. And then number two, is it worrisome? It's probably just going to be Elon, and it's going to be like that voter fraud commission. Like they're just going to sit there and jerk off for a couple weeks. Maybe they'll even have like post a list of recommendations that'll look like a House Republican report, meaning it's all bullshit with no specifics, and then they'll just walk away happy or something stupid like that. Be my guess.
So I asked you about this before, and I'm curious if you gave it any more thought because I don't follow the foreign policy stuff more. But the more I think about it, I wonder how Trump. Trump obviously said that he would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours, and that seems like bullshit. But I got thinking about it, and he was on the phone with Zelensky, and I believe Putin, but I know Zelensky, and Musk was on the line as well. And it occurred to me, doesn't so much of the just Ukraine in general, but the Ukrainian military in particular, rely on Starlink? And so I'm curious if Trump will somehow be able to make this happen by basically extorting the fuck out of Ukraine and Starlink be part of it.
I mean, he could. There's a whole bunch of reasons why it's inappropriate that these are all mixed together. But the reality is solving the Ukrainian-Russian war like very quickly is super easy. You just have to go and say, hey, we need you to fully surrender to Russia. That's essentially what we did with the Taliban under Trump. Donald Trump surrendered Afghanistan to the Taliban. It was a full surrender. Yeah, I mean, that's a really easy way to make peace, of course. So can he do it on day one? Yeah, of course. He doesn't even need to leverage. He'll just go to Ukraine and say, hey, we're not going to support you guys anymore. You need to surrender to Russia. And that's it. It's over.
Do you think there'd be any political backlash to that at all? Or because that's the other. I'm also thinking about what will happen to Trump reputationally and politically. And my concern is that he's going to be able to pull off a bunch of unhinged shit and not suffer any sort of political consequence for it. Because, of course, that's the story of his political life. And so I'm curious, like, if he's able to pull this off, do you think, like, basically, if he tells Zelensky, we're cutting you off, you either just fold, or we're cutting you off, or we're cutting Starlink off, or all the above, do you think that ending the war in such a way will accrue a political consequence, or do you think that the American people will say, fuck it, that's good enough, he kept his word, we're done?
No, I don't think it'll accrue any consequence at all. I think they'll be happy to see it. And then I think that Trump, just like the Taliban, Putin, just like the Taliban, will be incentivized to make sure that goes as smoothly as possible. The Taliban wanted the United States to leave. They didn't want any attacks or anybody to get killed. Like they played ball as much as they could with the Americans because they didn't want to keep them there. And I think if Putin is cutting a deal with Trump, he'll probably try to withdraw from whatever parts of Ukraine they don't agree to basically turn over to Russia as peacefully and as smoothly as possible. And maybe it'll even come with some like bullshit like funds attached to help them rebuild some part or whatever. But Putin is very, very invested. He should be invested, I would imagine, in playing ball with Trump as well. So then it makes Trump look good, it makes Putin look good, and then it undermines American imperialism or American or NATO or whatever, because it's like, oh, well, look, if you just like let Putin conquer places and do what he wants, like everybody wins, basically.
So are you emotionally prepared for if that happens for the next 4 years of see destiny? Trump did keep his word. He fucking ended this war, and Americans love him for it. Are you prepared mentally?
Yeah, of course. I'm already. Yeah, that's already of course. It's very easy to end wars when you just fully surrender them. Yeah, of course. It's stupid, but
how do you think he'll handle Israel? Because one of the things I asked you about a couple of weeks ago was like, because we know that that there was, I think, Benjamin Netanyahu was the first world leader to congratulate Trump after his victory, and he and I think the more right-wing members of his cabinet or of his administration preferred Trump to win the election. And so, do you think that it's possible that he'll basically say, "Hey, listen, while Biden's a lame duck and it will be his ass on the line, just go ahead and do what you need to do, take the gloves off in Gaza. That way, when I come in, we're gonna have to really wind this down. So if you want to go ham now." Like, is that too conspiratorial, or do you think that that's feasible?
if you wanted to go ham now. Wait, to who?
To Netanyahu in Gaza.
I don't know what else they have to go ham over now.
Well, and again, you know far more about this than me, but I thought that one of the I kept hearing, commentary and reports about Miriam Adelson is a big donor of the Trump campaign, and reportedly her condition for funds or fundraising was she wants Israel to annex the West Bank.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like stuff like that. And again,
yeah, I don't know.
Out my ass or,
I mean, they might. I mean, they can obviously do that with more impunity because Trump's not going to pressure them, and Trump already supported them annexing the West Bank, so Israel can continue to function like that. But I mean, yeah. But I don't know what else they could do in Gaza. I feel like they've already kind of fucked all that shit up. I don't know what else they can even do there. Yeah.
Fair. That's true. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I'm just I the last episode of Live and Learn when Hutch and Pisco and Econoboy were kind of laying out their worst case scenario. I said, to me, an unconventional worst case scenario is that the world doesn't end, and Donald Trump manages to walk his way through this minefield on sheer dumb luck and coast on, again, the economy he's inheriting, all the infrastructure projects, and like you said, Putin's desire to play ball with Trump and all these things, and he walks out with like an Obama tier popularity, an approval rating, and then JD Vance coasts into the presidency in 2028. And like, I don't know how likely that is because, some of his cabinet picks are genuinely unhinged, suggesting that he is trying to follow through on at least some of his more ridiculous and far-fetched campaign promises.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's the other thing to worry is this idea that Trump doesn't fuck everything up and we learn all the wrong lessons. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to better phrase it, because you're making it sound like you want there to be a catastrophe. What you're saying, what you're saying is you just don't want Trump to do nothing, but then all of the good things that Biden did roll forward into Trump's administration, and then Trump gets credit for all of them.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, obviously,
we need like a crazy populist, quasi-fascist, authoritarian dictator dude to come in because he fixed everything. When in reality, it was just Biden's policies that did all. That's what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that I feel like there's no good option here. I feel like, obviously, for various reasons, if he tries to deport 10 or 20 million people and slaps a 10 or 20% tariff on all U.S. imported goods and 60% tariff on China and all this other shit, weaponizes the DOJ, obviously that would be more viscerally terrible. But I think the quote-unquote good option is also pretty bad in the long term because it will further incentivize, in my opinion, this sort of like deranged MAGA populism. And like the sad thing is I'm even seeing it from people who are nominally on the left as well, like Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian are tickled pink because Trump nominated, I'm blanking on her name, Chavez Demira, I think she's a outgoing Republican congresswoman. She lost her reelection bid, and she's got a pretty good record, especially for a Republican, on labor.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like the Teamsters pick, like, hey, the Teamsters union, they really wanted Trump to go with this woman, and he did. And Cenk and Anna are just bending over backwards. Oh my God! What a masterful performance by Sean O'Brien of the Teamsters. He shouldn't have endorsed the Democrats. He played it well. Look at what he's getting out of this: a pro-labor labor secretary, and Trump is the one who did it. Trump is listening, and it's like, well, number one, she hasn't been confirmed yet. Number two, Republicans hate her guts because she's an outlier. She's seen as too in the pocket of unions. Number three, it might be, if she does make it to confirmation, that it's Democrats who save her because, again, she is relatively good. But it's just like even Cenk and Anna I mean, Anna is not that surprising, but Cenk, of all people, is like grading Trump on a curve. Him throwing up this woman as a labor secretary. They're ready to get out the pom-poms and cheerlead for him. And they're one of the biggest leftist networks in media. And so I don't know, man. I just like already off the bat, I'm thinking, man, what if he manages to just walk through this minefield and emerge unscathed and we learn all the wrong lessons? I think that's a bad outcome too.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but we'll see what happens. But you also definitely need to find a different way to phrase that, because you make it, the way that you make it sound is that you want like fucking nuclear war to happen.
No. Sorry. Again,
I know what you're saying. You don't apologize. I'm saying that's what it sounds like when you say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I haven't phrased it like that in a video. I think I phrased it. I just feel like there are no good options with Trump. I think just by definition, they're all bad. He either fucks a bunch of shit up spectacularly, and there's a lot of like, you know, visceral life and death situation, both in domestically and in foreign affairs. And then even if that doesn't happen, I just wonder what the next chapter will be, because he's never going to be held account. Like I think his sentencing just got delayed indefinitely in New York, but Alvin Bragg is asking the judge to just delay sentencing until after Trump leaves office. Do you think that would happen? Do you think a judge would be prepared to say, yep, since you were convicted, we're not going to sentence you now, you're the sitting president, but we will resume sentencing after Trump leaves office? Or do you think a judge would have
when he's like 80,000 years old and it's like, no,
right.
People, the public, nobody, okay, that's no.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's going to suck for the next 4 years, but how's last question? How's the restructuring of everything going, both in the studio and like internally? Making a bunch of headwinds with that or gains?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think pretty soon I need to start looking for more duders. Although I'm already hiring or adding more people in areas in the background. So yeah, we'll. I think the thing I wanted to talk about today. Oh God, fuck the blue sky block lists. Jesus.
What's going on? I just started Blue Sky. I've only posted a couple of times. I still spend more time on Twitter.
I think block lists are good. Like, I appreciate them. But like,
it's like a list of people to block.
Yeah, basically everybody can auto subscribe. But like I think I'm on all the like Nazi block lists. So I'm like, Jesus. Yeah, there's just a lot of accounts that like already have me auto block because I'm considered like a far right wing account or something. It's just kind of dumb. But
you're listed as a far right wing account on Blue Sky.
Yeah, people will add me because of the Israeli Palestinian shit, I guess, or something else. I don't know, but yeah.
God, are you? Wait, so I thought you were not on there, and that was like another person impersonating your account or holding it for you. Are you now?
There was, but I'm the Destiny GG guy. That's me.
Destiny GG. I'll follow you, not block you. Interesting. Well, buddy, I guess I'll let you get back to it, but it was good chatting with you, and I'll take a look at those dampening panels or those audio walls or whatever the fuck you called them. But I'll try now that I've increased the gain, I'll just move the mic closer with increased gain.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Well, whenever you're doing, if you talk to me or anybody else in the future, or if you, whatever, just whenever you're doing improvements to things in any kind of art, there are going to be technique things that are going to account for more than 50% of like the final product, and no amount of gear or buying expensive shit will make up for, you know, like I technically, because of my interface, I really like this interface. It's just an expensive interface, but like I have a $3,000 audio chain, right? But if my microphone was like over here and I was like speaking,
it wouldn't matter.
Who the fuck cares how much? I would sound better right now on a Blue Yeti or a lav mic right next to my lips. I would sound better than if it was this far back. And then same thing with like cameras too. If you spend a bunch on cameras, but you're not lighting your scene at all, or it's like set up in dumb areas, like yeah. So just make sure you have like those basic things done.
Oh, the lighting that you recommended, again, just like pivoting that key light around, and then I got a very small aperture light bulb to function as a fill light. Yeah, I mean, it's made all the difference. It doesn't lose any of the moodiness, but it's not so stark that like you can't see half my face.
Nice. So, good job. Cool.
Yeah, appreciate you, buddy. All right, man. You have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, I love you. Stay safe, buddy.
Love you too, buddy. Bye.
Okay, fuck. There were going to be some logistics thing I was going to do. We'll do that, but let me just do one more. I want to do at least one of these Federalist Papers a day. Wait, can you debunk Fuentes, citing Federalist Paper number 1 in defense of an ethno-state several years ago, now that you've read some.
This in the United States in the first Federalist Paper, which is, if you're familiar with the Federalist Papers, was John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, and James Madison. They wrote a series of essays to justify the new Constitution of the United States, which was up for ratification in 1787, got ratified in 1788. And John Jay wrote in the first Federalist Paper this, and it's a pretty long quote, but I think it's important to establish. He said, quote, "Providence has been pleased to give this one connected country to one united people, a people descended from the same ancestors, speaking the same language, professing the same religion, attached to the same principles of government, very similar in their manners and customs. This country and this people seem to have been made for each other." So now, I can understand why you would think it'd be shaky logic to say that the preamble, because it says we give this government to ourselves and our posterity, why that might exclude immigration. But in the first Federalist Paper to justify the Constitution, John Jay, the first Supreme Court justice, explicitly lays out what posterity means.
That's cute. Okay, I understand now. Yeah. So so now with more context, I'm not even sure how I refute this. If this is my first conversation, I don't think I refute almost anything. I don't know what is my second conversation. But the full refutation of this is the Federalist Papers were written to convince the United States of America to form a single coherent government rather than 3 or 4 confederacies or remaining separated. So, of course, any writing here is going to harp on our similarities as much as possible, obviously. But to cite that as being in favor of an ethno-state, when that has literally nothing to do with what the subject matter, what none of the Federalist Papers were about. We need to be one common racial group. That's like such a bastardized misquotation of that's just a very, very, very poor citation. That's just a very poor citation of the underlying material. But I mean, I think that ended up being true for most of the stuff of his that I researched anyway when I came back for the second debate. But John Jay didn't write the first Federalist Paper. Oh, that's true too. The very first one might have been Hamilton. Yeah, John Jay wrote the next 6, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the next 4. And then Hamilton went back, and then I think we get Madison. Yeah. Because Jay got sick like a loser after like 4 and stopped writing. Have you listened to Hamilton? Nope. I should try to take one quote from each of these as well. Just because it's nice. It's always nice to have quotes. This was a good one. Destiny is on the Gaza Genocide Defenders of Blue Sky block list. Based. Weird audio glitch. Yeah, it was probably because I pulled back my mic and the cord was like starting to come out. That'd be my guess. Something like that happened. Okay. Federalist number 12. Uh-oh. This sounds like it's gonna be about taxes. Not good. The utility of the Union in respect to revenue. The effects of union upon the commercial prosperity of the states have been sufficiently delineated. Its tendency to promote the interests of revenue will be the subject of our present inquiry. The prosperity of commerce is now perceived and acknowledged by all enlightened statesmen to be the most useful as well as the most productive source of national wealth, and has accordingly become a primary object of their political cares. By multiplying the means of gratification, by promoting the introduction and circulation of the precious metals, those darling objects of human avarice and enterprise, it serves to vivify and invigorate the channels of industry, and to make them flow with greater activity and copiousness. The assiduous merchant, the laborious husbandman, the active mechanic, and the industrious manufacturer, all orders of men, look forward with eager expectation and growing alacrity to this pleasing reward of their toils. The often agitated question between agriculture and commerce has, from indubitable experience, received a decision which has silenced the rivalship that once subsisted between them, and has proved, to the satisfaction of their friends, that their interests are intimately blended and interwoven. I think it's basically just saying, like, hey, trade is good. When we say commerce, we're referring to trade, I'm guessing, right? Is commerce is trade. So trade is good. Trade with other nations is good. Trade through all of our lands is good. Like, trade is good for everybody, too. Everybody benefits from trade. Cute. Globalist arguments. I think. Assuming that's what commerce is meaning here. It has been found in various countries that, in proportion as commerce has flourished, land has risen in value. And how could it have happened otherwise? Could that which procures a freer vent for the products of the earth, which furnishes new incitements to the cultivation of land, which is the most powerful instrument in increasing the quantity of money in a state, could that, in fine, which is the faithful handmaid of labor and industry in every shape, fail to augment that article, which is the prolific parent of far the greatest part of the objects upon which they are exerted? Basically that, like, right? Like if you're grabbing shit from the earth, if you're like mining shit, if you're farming shit, if you're doing all this, like being able to sell it or ship it or send it to other people is like based, I think, basically. I don't know the context for a lot of this. Someone in chat said free commerce was kind of a revolutionary ideal because of British imperial mercantilism. That might be it as well. So maybe free trade and all that's just becoming like a big thing, yeah. It is astonishing that so simple a truth should ever have had an adversary, and it is one among a multitude of proofs how apt a spirit of ill-informed jealousy or of too great abstraction and refinement is to lead men astray from the plainest truths of reason and conviction. The ability of a country to pay taxes must always be proportioned, in a great degree, to the quantity of money in circulation and to the celerity with which it circulates. Commerce, contributing to both these objects, must of necessity render the payment of taxes easier and facilitate the requisite supplies to the treasury. The hereditary dominions of the Emperor of Germany contain a great extent of fertile, cultivated, and populous territory, a large proportion of which is situated in mild and luxuriant climates. In some parts of this territory are to be found the best gold and silver mines in Europe. And yet, from the want of the fostering influence of commerce, that monarch can boast but slender revenues. He has several times been compelled to owe obligations to the pecuniary succors of other nations for the preservation of his essential interests, and is unable, upon the strength of his own resources, to sustain a long or continued war. I think it's basically saying that, like, having even if a country or an emperor might own a lot of land or a lot of natural resources, like because everybody's like buying and selling and trading with each other, like you still kind of have to participate in these global markets or else you fall behind, basically. Even though they've got the best gold and silver mines, the monarch can only have but slender revenues because of the fostering influence of commerce, and then the monarch is compelled to owe obligations to the, what does this word mean? Hold on.
Pecuniary.
Pecuniary. Relating to, okay. Succors. Succors. Is it succor? Or
Succor.
Succors, yeah. Of other nations for the preservation of his essential interests, and is unable upon the strength of his own resources to sustain a longer continued war. I think we're becoming like more interdependent and more, Oh wait, Destiny split VOD. Oh shit, can I? I hope this works. Good luck. Fuck. Wait. Okay, hopefully that's uploaded. Good luck. Okay, sorry. But it is not in this aspect of the subject alone that union will be seen to conduce to the purpose of revenue. There are other points of view in which its influence will appear more immediate and decisive. It is evident from the state of the country, from the habits of the people, from the experience that we have had on the point itself, that it is impracticable to raise any very considerable sums by direct taxation. Tax laws have in vain been multiplied, new methods to enforce the collection have in vain been tried, the public expectation has been uniformly disappointed, and the treasuries of the state have remained empty. The popular system of administration inherent in the nature of popular government, coinciding with the real scarcity of money, incident to a languid and mutilated state of trade, has hitherto defeated every experiment for extensive collections and has at length taught the different legislatures the folly of attempting them. No person acquainted with what happens in other countries will be surprised at this circumstance. In so opulent a nation as that of Britain, where direct taxes from superior wealth must be much more tolerable, and from the vigor of the government, much more practicable than in America, far the greatest part of the national revenue is derived from taxes of the indirect kind, from imposts and from excises. Duties on imported articles form a large branch of this latter description. Oh, it's the Trump taxes. He's saying we can't really raise income taxes. Like, nobody wants to pay that shit. And even in Britain, where the crown can go after it, they're still not collecting that shit. So we have to put duties and import taxes on stuff. In America, it is evident that we must a long time depend for the means of revenue chiefly on such duties. Duty is another name, I believe, for like import and maybe export taxes, but maybe import taxes. Duties imported. Okay. I think we've already I think at this point we've even had, I think this already happened before the Constitution was even, was this in response to the stamp tax or a tax that they tried to do? I don't remember. Oh yeah, to the state government's increased efforts to collect taxes on both individuals and their trades. This Constitution ratified, and we did the Constitution in 1788. This was 1786. Okay, yeah. Do you think the stock markets have already priced in Trump's tariffs? No, I think the stock markets are assuming it's not going to happen. I think most people, even I would assume that hopefully that, can't. Okay. In America, it is evident that we must a long time depend for the means of revenue chiefly on such duties. In most parts of it, excises must be confined within a narrow compass. The genius of the people will ill brook the inquisitive and peremptory spirit of excise laws. The pockets of the farmers, on the other hand, will reluctantly yield but scanty supplies in the unwelcome shape of impositions on their houses and lands, and personal property is too precarious and invisible a fund to be laid hold of in any other way than by the imperceptible agency of taxes on consumption. So basically, whatever we tax, it's got to be like a pretty narrow tax because people are going to find ways to get around it, right? People are smart, they'll get around it. Farmers are fucked, though, because like, how are they going to get around it if it's just like agricultural products, I guess, that they're shipping out? So that's not good, right? You'd have like uneven treatment here, I guess. If these remarks have any foundation, that state of things which will best enable us to improve and extend so valuable a resource must be best adapted to our political welfare. And it cannot admit of a serious doubt that this state of things must rest on the basis of a general union. As far as this would be conducive to the interests of commerce, so far it must tend to the extension of the revenues to be drawn from that source. As far as it would contribute to rendering regulations for the collection of the duties more simple and efficacious, so far it must serve to answer the purposes of making the same rate of duties more productive and of putting it into the power of the government to increase the rate without prejudice to trade. So, I'm speaking a little bit out of my area of expertise because I don't know any of the history. But I think that even as early as the colonies, you still had this huge difference between, or when they even say in the earlier Federalist Papers, the northern people are fishermen, they're merchants, they want to do commerce, like higher level like goods and buying and selling. Like that's what the North does, and the South is still like slaves, agriculture. Like it's two very different economies. And two different styles of economies. And the idea of making the Union part of the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, everything else, is trying to assuage the South of saying like, hey, listen, we're not going to fuck your shit up. Like we know that the North has a different style of economy, and we know that the South is different, but we're all going to try to work together and make this like balance between both sides. Like shit's not going to be like super fucked. Okay. The relative, hold on. There's arguments that taxation needs to be done effectively in regards to this, to commerce, agriculture, so one side isn't disfavored. The relative situation of these states, the number of rivers with which they are intersected, and of bays that wash their shores, the facility of communication in every direction, the affinity of language and manners, the familiar habits of intercourse, all these are circumstances that would conspire to render an illicit trade between them a matter of little difficulty, and would ensure frequent evasions of the commercial regulations of each other. The separate states or confederacies would be necessitated by mutual jealousy to avoid the temptations to that kind of trade by the lowness of their duties. The temper of our governments for a long time to come would not permit those rigorous precautions by which the European nations guard the avenues into their respective countries, as well by land as by water, and which, even there, are found insufficient obstacles to the adventurous stratagems of avarice. Oh, I think this argument here is like, okay, listen, if you really do try to make 4 countries, if we do 4 confederacies here instead of the United States, literally nobody's going to pay taxes. Like people are going to find so many ways around this. How are you going to tax people coming out of the North who are going to like hide in like through different rivers or different like there's just it's never going to work. But if we're all just one country, we don't have to pay like taxes going between the states. I think is like the argument here basically, right? In France, there is an army of patrols, as they are called, constantly employed to secure their fiscal regulations against the inroads of the dealers in contraband trade. Mr. Neckar computes the number of these patrols at upwards of 20,000. This shows the immense difficulty in preventing that species of traffic where there is an inland communication and places in a strong light the disadvantages with which the collection of duties in this country would be encumbered. If by disunion, the states should be placed in a situation with respect to each other, resembling that of France with respect to her neighbors. The arbitrary and vexatious powers with which the patrols are necessarily armed would be intolerable in a free country. Contraband and illegal trade, would it necessarily occur and thrive? It would require immensely powerful patrols, as in France, to stop. If, on the contrary, there be but one government pervading all the states, there will be, as to the principal part of our commerce, but one side to guard, the Atlantic coast. Vessels arriving directly from foreign countries, laden with valuable cargoes, would rarely choose to hazard themselves to the complicated and critical perils which would attend attempts to unlade prior to their coming into port. They would have to dread both the dangers of the coast and of detection, as well after as before their arrival at the places of their final destination. An ordinary degree of vigilance would be competent to the prevention of any material infractions upon the rights of the revenue. A few armed vessels, judiciously stationed at the entrances of our ports, might at a small expense be made useful sentinels of the laws. The government having the same interest to provide against violations everywhere, the cooperation of its measure in each state would have a powerful tendency to render them effectual. Here, also, we should preserve by union an advantage which nature holds out to us, and which would be relinquished by separation. The United States lie at a great distance from Europe, and at a considerable distance from all other places with which they would have extensive connections of foreign trade. The passage from them to us in a few hours or in a single night, as between the coasts of France and Britain, and of other neighboring nations, would be impracticable. This is a prodigious security against a direct contraband with foreign countries, but a circuitous contraband to one state through the medium of one another would be both easy and safe. Circuitous?
Circuitous.
Circuitous. The difference between a direct importation from abroad and an indirect importation through the channel of a neighboring state in small parcels, according to time and opportunity, with the additional facilities of inland communication, must be palpable to every man of discernment. Basically saying that, like, if we're different countries, obviously it'd be easier to sneak shit in, but if we're like one country, that would be much, much, much more difficult, right? Yeah. For foreign powers. It is therefore evident that one national government would be able, at much less expense, to extend the duties on imports, beyond comparison, further than would be practicable to the states separately or to any partial confederacies. Hitherto, I believe, it may safely be asserted that these duties have not, upon an average, exceeded in any state 3%. In France, they are estimated to be about 15%, and in Britain, they exceed this proportion. There seems to be nothing to hinder their being increased in this country to at least treble their present amount. The single article of ardent spirits under federal regulation might be made to furnish a considerable revenue. Upon a ratio to the importation into this state, the whole quantity imported into the United States may be estimated at 4 millions of gallons. At a shilling per gallon would produce 200,000 pounds. That article would well bear this rate of duty, and if it should tend to diminish the consumption of it, such an effect would be equally favorable to the agriculture, to the economy, to the morals, and to the health of our society. There is, perhaps, nothing so much a subject of national extravagance as these spirits. So basically, we can tax shit coming in, it'll be easy to make a lot of money, and if people consume less of it, then it'll help our domestic production. Wow, the Trump arguments for taxation. What is a screenshot? This isn't actually happening, right? Oh, that happened during DGG movies. Nice. What will be the consequence? We are not able to avail ourselves of the resource in question in its full extent. A nation cannot long exist without revenues. Destitute of this essential support, it must resign its independence and sink into the degraded condition of a province. This is an extremity to which no government will of choice accede. Revenue, therefore, must be had at all events. In this country, if the principal part be not drawn from commerce, it must fall with oppressive weight upon land. It has been already intimated that excises, in their true significance, are too little in unison with the feelings of the people to admit of great use being made of that mode of taxation. Nor, indeed, in the states where almost the sole employment is agriculture, are the objects proper for excise sufficiently numerous to permit very ample collections in that way. Basically, like, obviously the North and the South both favor very different modes of taxation, and one would greatly benefit one, greatly hurt the other, right? Personal estate, as has been remarked, from the difficulty in tracing it, cannot be subjected to large contributions by any other means than by taxes on consumption. In populous cities, it may be enough the subject of conjecture to occasion the oppression of individuals without much aggregate benefit to the state, but beyond these circles, it must, in a great measure, escape the eye and the hand of the tax gatherer. As the necessities of the state, nevertheless, must be satisfied in some mode or other, the defect of other resources must throw the principal weight of public burdens on the possessors of land. And as, on the other hand, the wants of the government can never obtain an adequate supply unless all the sources of revenue are open to its demands, the finances of the community under such embarrassments cannot be put into a situation consistent with its respectability or its security. Thus, we shall not even have the consolations of a full treasury to atone for the oppression of that valuable class of the citizens who are employed in the cultivation of the soil, but public and private distress will keep pace with each other in gloomy concert and unite in deploring the infatuation of those councils which led to disunion. Cute. Okay. Okay, that was 12. Okay, hold on. What were chat questions that I had? Oh, my only kick chat mod is Puggy Gups, right? I think I have on Discord. Do I have who are my big YouTube chat moderators? Dirk, Ivan, Brian, Conrad, Kylie. Can you remove the random D streamers from mod on anything else? They are abusing power. I don't know what that sentence means. From mod on anything else? Put me in, coach. Well, I'm just curious who the current mods are. I need you guys on... Do I not have any? I must. I need you guys on Discord. Anything else Discord? They just legit time out and reset it every week. I mean, I don't have any control over that Discord, so. Damn, we don't have any. Okay, I might just demod everybody, and then when I start streaming on YouTube tomorrow, I'll see who is asking for mod back. Huh. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? On Blue Sky, I'll keep digging into that stuff. We have the movie stream stuff. There's stuff in the works for that. I'm creating like a flare. Kagan the crew are creating like a flare and a roll for Mate, I don't think the VOD split worked. Oh, well, get fucked. Okay. I'm creating a flare and a roll for the conductor people. Jesus Christ, hold on. This. Nope. Wait. This. Nope. Okay. Boom. All right. It's uploading. August, good luck. Our YouTube mod is getting bombed in Israel. Okay. Oh. Did you ever post the new rules anywhere? Oh no, I need to have Cake do that. Thank you for reminding me. Creating, I guess, a community guidelines for chat. / rules. Okay. Okay. I think that's all I have for now. You have a rules command for the new rules? Yeah. Oh, I'll find a way to turn night back on for the YouTube chat as well. But I don't have contact with any of my YouTube mods on Discord. Like, we don't talk at all, so I have no idea. Rebino, cappuccino, pop channel. I will be back tomorrow, Reno. Be careful. Stay safe. Don't die.